YouTube. This is my video for Wednesday the 21st of August. And I'll give you my stats first of all. I, based on 13.29 pence per mile, I drove a total of 452 miles, 452. I worked for 14 hours and I earned from 3 CX jobs £250, 250. That's gross. I spent £60 and 7 pence on fuel, which means that I earned after fuel £190, 190. So let me talk through the day, and then as I go through the day I'll tell you bits and bobs that I think are relevant. So I had a job booked in from the previous day. This is when I was on the Tuesday. I was sitting in my dialysis and I was bidding on work. I'll get back to Tuesday actually. Tuesday afternoon, bidding on work, sitting in dialysis, and I was going quite high. I bidded on about 4 or 5 jobs for the following morning. But I was going quite high. I don't know why. I just felt I wanted to try it out, and it didn't really work, to be fair. But I felt it was worth going a little bit higher, just in case I got lucky and got that good job. Got a good job at a good price. And it was quite interesting doing it because I worked out probably that isn't going to work generally. There might be the odd day, like a Friday, when it might be worth doing it, but maybe not in the middle of the week on for a Wednesday. But I need to sort of start doing that and then quite quickly bring the prices down. So what I did do was I put bids on that I thought I'd do the jobs for, and then after about half an hour of not being accepted, when there was a couple there still on the system, I put them down by a 5 or a tenner, depending on how far away they were, and tried it that way. In the end I did get a job, and it was a good paying job, and it was a bit less than I would usually pay. I'll explain why in a moment. But this was towards the end of the afternoon, so it's about 4 o'clock-ish, and there was obviously getting to the point now I needed to get a job booked in, and it's going from Peterborough to Bristol. It was for a short wheelbase van, and I generally just go with £1 a mile for the short wheelbase vans, and generally I get them at that price. It's generally it's the one price van that I tend to find is pretty reliable in where I am. So £1 for a short wheelbase van. I don't always get that, but I start off at that point and usually do it. On this occasion, the load was 172 miles, 172, and I just thought I don't need to go that high, so I went down to around 150, and I got that quite quickly. So 150 for 172 loaded miles, and that's from Peterborough. It was asking for an 8 to 10 o'clock pickup, and when I got the call they asked me what time would I be arriving, and I said I would get there at the start at 8 o'clock, or at the latest 8:15, because as far as I would see it, getting there early and getting a good start to Bristol and maybe getting there for midday would be much better than trying to go 2 hours later. It's a no-brainer really. So I left the house at 7:15, I arrived on site at 8:05, and I was off site really quickly, everything done by 8:12. They were really efficient at that point. I was really pleased. I thank the forklift driver for being so quick and efficient. And that meant that I got down to Bristol at 11:36. And actually at the other end, they were not too slow there either. I used their toilet, which was useful, and then I got offloaded, and then by the time I got off site, it was 11:45, and I was empty, parked up, looking for another job. So I must say that job was a pretty much perfect job for me. Going a long distance for a decent amount of money at a good time, offloading, unloading really easily. It was a pallet, so it was a forklift thing. Although to be fair, when we took it off, the guy said how heavy is it, and we sort of lifted it off and put it on the floor. So we didn't need a pallet, we didn't need a forklift driver to take it off at the end. So really good start to the day, and that obviously in my mind helped complement Monday, which was really good as well. And to be fair, I'm usually quite good at getting jobs from Bristol or in and around Bristol. I've never really yet failed to get a decent job out of there. I've had to wait sometimes. It is a bit scary sometimes to try and find the right job, but I don't always worry about it. And I was thinking, as a tactic, get a job from Bristol to London and just go home. But it was too early in the day, to be honest. It was 11:45. I thought, this is too early to then just call that quits. Let's do another little job somewhere first and see where I end up. Now, there was not a lot of jobs in Bristol yesterday, and I know I've been there before and it's been quite quiet. So I did get a job. I didn't have to wait too long, but it wasn't a great job. And it was I put a couple of bids on, and one of the bids I put on was going from Bristol to I can't read my writing down. Mitcheldean, that's it, Mitcheldean. Now, well, as a slight aside, there's not many places that I've never heard of, but Mitcheldean is one of those places. If you said to me, you go to Mitcheldean, I wouldn't be able to guess which part of the country it was in. And I think that when I looked at the map, it was basically, in my mind, between the M5 and Hereford, sort of along the line there. But that country, as I was driving there today, I've been to Hereford a couple of times. I've been to Ross once and Hereford once doing this job, and the countryside around there is really nice. It's really winding lanes and really. I mean, it's not the greatest for getting places quickly, but it's a really nice place to look. It's hilly, it's green. It's a really pleasant place to drive in terms of just the driving experience. And I probably would like to do more work there, as in work out that bit of the country, sort of that side of the country and Wales. But it's just obviously I don't tend to get work out there. I would probably like to explore it more anyway. So that job was going from Bristol in the centre, and it's 46 loaded miles for a small van job. So I stuck £50 on that job, and then it went off. It got sold or something. It was due to be picked up between, I think, maybe 12:30. Maybe it's 11:30 to 12:30. I can't quite remember. It might have been 12 to 1 actually. Anyway, so and then I got a call from this shipper, who I have used before. For those of you, another slight aside, for those of you that have followed my journey, it was the same shipper that caught me co-loading, and I thought I'd like to do the job for them. This is the second job I've done for them since that point. So they called me back and said they couldn't give me 50, but they didn't have to give me 40. And I said to them, I really can't go that low, specifically because where I'm going to end up is in the middle of nowhere. So I said, I wish you best of luck in finding someone at the price you want, but I can't do it for that price, I'm sorry. And then they went off the phone, but I did say, if you do struggle, I'm still available. And so I assumed I wouldn't get that job, but then they called back about 5 minutes later and they offered me the job for the price I wanted. And I was a little bit confused about that, because usually if a shipper sort of does that, they don't come back to you. Usually they never come back to you, so that was quite good. But I thought, I assumed they must have had someone let them down. But it's only a small van job. It's really hard to mess up a small van job as a driver, to let a shipper down. So I didn't understand whether they had another bid that they took or not, or if I was the only bid. I wasn't the only driver around by any means. There were plenty of other drivers that could have bid on this job. But is it possible that I was the only one who bid? I doubt it. Is it possible I was the lowest? Yeah, that's possible. Particularly as I got the job. And the other thing I was thinking about, maybe they're so desperate they have to get it done. But I arrived at 12:35. I was sort of 30 minutes away. It was only about 9 miles, but it was about 30 minutes because of traffic. And I was still there 25 minutes before they had to have it offloaded. So I didn't really get why there was a bit of toing and throwing about that one. It's probably just to try and make extra money, but in the end they were perfectly pleasant about it and gave me the job at the price I wanted, so I can't complain. So I arrived at the pickup point, and eventually when I found the right place, so I arrived at the address really easily in the centre of Bristol, but then I couldn't really find the post room. Asked the security guard for help, he didn't really know, but eventually we got to the right place and I was off site by 12:45. And I was quite surprised about how long it was going to take me to get there, because I thought 46 miles is probably about an hour, isn't it? But it was an hour and 10 minutes. So I made my way to Mitcheldean and got there, got offloaded really quickly, because it's only like a bit of post really, and it was 1:55 by the time I'd finished that job. And it's still quite early in the day, but I just wanted to get a job heading towards home if possible at this point, or even I suppose towards London. But I was mindful that I was in a pretty poor area for work. I had a look at other drivers. There was still a reasonable amount of drivers in Hereford. There's about 3 or 4 active drivers in Hereford. There's about 6 drivers in Gloucester at the time, and there's even one in Mitcheldean, where I was. He might be passing through, but there wasn't a shortage of drivers. So I thought I'm probably going to struggle here, but I'll sort of see what goes on for a bit, see what jobs come up, and then maybe head towards the M5 towards Cheltenham, Gloucester way. So what I did was I moved myself from where I was, which was on the industrial estate, to a junction, the junction that met the A40. So that was the road that went between Gloucester and I think Ross on Y, I think it was, or possibly Hereford. I'm guessing it's Ross then Hereford. Can't remember. But anyway, I was in the middle of 2 reasonably big places that do provide work, and I was sort of within about half an hour of 4 or 5 places that could have got work from. So I thought that's not a bad place for me to sit, bearing in mind where I am. And that's probably about a 5-mile journey out of Mitcheldean. And I did something that I don't usually do, but on the advice of my friend, and I rang out of the blue one of the shippers in Hereford and just said, I'm in your area, and if you need me, obviously let me know. And they took my details and said, if you're, obviously we'll get back to you. Also, I did that phone call when I was on the way from Bristol to Mitcheldean, so it was about 1 o'clock when I did that phone call, and I said I was going to be arriving about 2 o'clock at Mitcheldean. And a job came up from that shipper that was going from a HR2 postcode, but in the middle of the country, and go to Cheltenham. It's quite a small job. I stuck £50 on for a small van job, 39 loaded miles, and I got a call from that shipper, and they said, well, we weren't sure where to call you now because it's quite a small job, but when you put a bid on, we thought we'd give it to you. So that call, I think, made the difference between me getting the job and not getting the job, and I was really pleased to get that. The pickup was 17 miles away from me, about 30 minutes away. So I got the call at 2:25, so I'd been waiting for about half an hour bidding, and I arrived on site for pickup at 2:55, and I was hoping that I would be able to get to the drop-off in good time to have a chance for a 4th job. And when I looked at the sat-nav, from where I was to Cheltenham was an hour and a quarter, and I was due to be there for offloaded by about 4:10. I thought that's not too bad, that gives me a chance when I'm in Cheltenham to get another job. So picked up 1 single box, in and out really quickly, and I made my way to Cheltenham. And this is where I was thinking, this is really nice countryside, this is, I'd like to do this again. So I might, just might, start doing a few more jobs to sort of that area of the country and to see whether I can get some sort of what's the word, niche. I don't think I will. Ledbury is where I've been to before. I think Ledbury's in that area, and there are sometimes jobs from my area to Ledbury, and I might not ignore them so much in the future. Anyway, I'm waffling now. So anyway, I did that job to Cheltenham. I arrived at 4:05. Got offloaded with the security guard, just took the box off me, and I was all done. So it was 4:05, and I was ready to rock and roll for another job. Now I was in the centre-ish of Cheltenham, and I was thinking, where can I go now to try and give me the best chance of getting the next job? So I looked at the map and I thought I'll head to the east side of Cheltenham, which is close to the M5, which gives me access ideally up the country. And also I parked up at an Aldi and got some food, and then had a bit of food while I was bidding. And this is where my day kind of came to a grinding halt, really. I gave myself a chance to get a fourth job by being in Cheltenham and offloaded by just after 4 o'clock. But there just wasn't really any work. And on another day, when it's busier on the CX, I would have got a job. I would have got a job from the Birmingham, Worcester, Gloucester, Cheltenham, Tewkesbury. There was a job from Tewkesbury that I bid on that I didn't get. I put a really good price on that. It's a small job, go to Worcester. I put £40 on that job. It might have been £30 on my job, I can't remember. So there was an opportunity to go and move a bit closer to Birmingham. I would have taken a job to the northwest, but in the end there wasn't anything. So I have constraints from my work, and tomorrow I've got dialysis, so I have to be home by at least at the maximum 12. And I was very close to my mum's house in Cheltenham. I was about an hour away, so I did think about staying there. But then I did something that I don't regret by any means, because it's I don't regret it, but it was a bit of an error. But it was a reversible error, I'll put it that way. So I'm in the habit of always looking at the following day. So I was looking at jobs from about 3 o'clock onwards. I was looking at jobs for Thursday morning, little local jobs, and a job came up from Sleaford to Belper that I put a bid on, and I won it. And it was for an 8 o'clock pickup, and I thought I've got time to get to Belper and then buy it to Boston if I can't get another job. So I accepted that job, and I got a pretty good price for it as well. I'm pleased with the price I got for it. And then, when I booked it in, I remembered, do you remember? I was looking at my calendar for something, and I saw a reminder that tomorrow I've got my windscreen being booked in to be replaced. Now this is something I forgot to tell you about in my last video. When I was driving along the Woodhead Pass, I think that was on Monday, I got as I was going sort of along that road, just before I did the video for it, there was a stone kicked up from a vehicle that passed me and put a little chip in my windscreen. And for those of you who are really, really good at memory, you will remember that 3 or 4 months ago I got a crack in my windscreen, at the bottom of the windscreen, and so but that hasn't got any worse since that point. And I have since then had another chip in my left hand side of the windscreen, so it was time now to get that replaced. So on Monday I booked in a windscreen replacement through my insurance. It was really efficient because they said they'd come out on Thursday morning, and I then completely forgot that they were coming out tomorrow morning. But luckily I was able to rearrange that for Saturday using the message I got from the message that was sent through to me confirming the confirmation. Said if you want to change or cancel this, just let us know. So to be fair to the windscreen replacement guys, they're actually really good at coming to you where you are or when you want them, and I will do that on Saturday now. And there's something else. Oh yeah, because I'd got this job booked in for Thursday morning, not only had I had to move my windscreen appointment, that meant that I had to get home that night, or that Wednesday night. So really, I kind of messed up in that respect. I had to get home, and it wasn't the biggest area of the world because I wanted to get home, but I could have easily spent the night at my mum's and then got a job from Birmingham home towards Boston in the morning. I wouldn't have made any more money probably, and I would have been a bit less comfortable being in that house, but it would have saved on some dead miles, I suppose. That's the main thing, but I'm not that bothered about that. I got home reasonably late, and I got a good sleep in my bed. So, and I had a shower in the morning, which is nice. So that's the end of my day. I think I've got a couple of little things to mention. So I've noticed over the last couple of days that at night it's definitely getting darker, and in the mornings it's a little bit chillier than it was previously, and a little bit, the days are just a little bit shorter. I mean, it's not surprising. It's been 2 months since June the 21st, so we're sort of 1/3 away through the change to the deepest part of winter. So this is the first time on my video I'm going to note. So it's the 21st of August, so it is 2 months after that where autumn is beginning to feel like it's coming. And then the last thing I want to say is I keep wondering whether I should do a poll, because there's various questions that I have I'd love to know your opinions on. So I'm going to stick a couple of polls on over the next few weeks, as and when I think of them. The poll I thought of today was, I may or may not do this one, but this is what I'm going to think about doing, is I know that my business costs are roughly, it's a pretty good estimation, £400 a week, let's say, over 46 weeks. You can that's just that if I cover that amount, I'll definitely be okay, insolvent. If I don't quite do it, it doesn't matter. If I go a bit over, it doesn't matter. So £400 a week is a good estimate of my business costs. And I'd be intrigued to know, for a single van, what are your business costs? Because we all have different vans, different age vans. It mainly comes down, I think, to the van that you run and the way that you choose to run your business, whether it's a sole trader or as a company, whether you do your own accounts, whether you get other people to do it. And it's how much you do for yourself and how much you get other people to do for you and pay them a fee. So there is some variability in what your business costs would be, and I'd be intrigued to know what everyone else's, let's say, weekly business costs would be, based on whatever holiday you want to take in the year, based on that. I don't need to know specifically your annual amount of business costs, but just as a working figure, what per week do you need to save when you're working to cover your business costs? And I think that would be helpful for newbies starting, because you need a realistic expectation as to what you need to cover running a van. And this is for people who have one van, working out of one van. And I suppose really for yourself, I suppose that's the other thing. You could be having one van where you're in the office and you employ someone. That doesn't really work because you've got to cover 2 people's wages. So I suppose I'm just saying, if you're a one-man van, a one-person van, no, a one-person business in a van, that would be what I would like to know. And I'll try and find out how I can do polls on my channel later today. Right, I think that's everything. So thank you very much for listening to my video. I hope that you are all being successful, however you choose to define that word for yourselves. I will speak to you again on Friday when I've got my next full day.